Hi everyone. Um, this is kind of like a first for me, but hopefully it is the start of a series. Um, I am Aryan. If you are seeing this on this page, there is a highly likely chance that you are probably a subscriber. Um, but I make art. I think my most popular pieces are probably my music. And I figured it'd be really cool to kind of just like have insight and talk and just get my ideas out there, because I feel like sometimes not everything can be conveyed through your art, or sometimes the like message you're trying to make has to be so direct that you don't want to leave room for interpretation. But yeah, like I'm literally inside my closet right now. This is where I record all of my music, hence the blanket. But yeah, for the first kind of video, I wanted to talk about like what has art become, you know? Like something that I've been really not kind of grappling with, not necessarily struggling, but it's just this idea that if you're an artist in the year 2025 and you actually want people to see your work and people to appreciate your work and people to just like interact with it, you have to be a fucking social media marketing guru, expert, whatever you want to call it. And it's very frustrating. I didn't start making art to then become a quote unquote influencer. I made art to make art. And for someone to sit down and tell me, oh, the only way you can actually get it seen or heard at a large scale is, doing all these like stupid influencer hoops and tricks. And look, you can definitely make the argument that like you don't necessarily have to do it. If you don't want to play by those rules, you don't have to. And if your art is good enough, people will come and people will support you and do all this XYZ. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Your life is run by algorithms now, and there is nothing you can do to stop it. And I think, starting this whole thing of being an artist and wanting to make a name for myself and wanting people to see my art and realize that they're not alone in this world means that I have to do this. Means that I have to do certain things so that I can ensure that someone doesn't feel alone. And one of the biggest things I always see on social media is like, oh, you have to create your own world. You have to create an artist's story. This is my world. I make music in my closet. I'm a college student. I made albums in my dorm. There's no other world than this. My music is my world. Why do I have to even like reels are not my world. I understand visual storytelling and the importance of, creating aesthetics and all that, but there's got to be another way. Like, there has to be another way. My whole issue right now is like, why does my success get determined by metrics that don't matter to me? Right? One person telling me they liked my song in a DM on the internet means so much more than seeing that 100 people played my song. And I think there's such a loss of interaction that it becomes hard to really understand what you're doing. I think, realistically, my art could have really impacted someone, and I'll never know. Because, like, I never got to interact with the person, I never got to see their side of the story. All I know is that maybe that person liked the post. And I think that's insane. Like, so much depth and just like human connection is lost because of a glass slab in your hands. And I think the issue then becomes that, like, talent dies off in the wrong, or I guess in the right, it depends on how you see it, but like talent dies off in one part of it, and people who have a very different skill set succeed a lot, right? Like, someone whose art is, you would say, doesn't, someone whose art might feel generic. I feel like art is harder to do, but music, if someone's music feels generic, but they have 100 times the amount of metrics as me, or as any other artist who is like, oh man, I should have worded that differently because now it sounds like I'm, okay. Someone who is doing way better than smaller artists who have worked their ass off to really hone their craft and create a strong story is gonna do better because they're better at marketing. That's it. You could literally have the next Frank Ocean or Tyler the Creator, and he or she or they is putting out their art in just like YouTube, hoping that someone will see it. Whereas someone akin to Sexy Red is famous. We are losing art day by day. And this only gets worse when you have slop like AI that comes in and basically removes everything that anyone has worked for. Not only do they plagiarize, but they give these people the idea that art is not important. And that's obviously, like, that'll be a whole nother video because I think AI is such a crazy topic. But, like, you know, what has art come to? What is it that we have to do as artists to be seen? It feels like, honestly, it feels like a humiliation ritual. That's what it feels like. You're telling me that I have to post like cringy videos and silly things and, you know, like do all this stuff to get maybe a couple more views. And even then, like, translating those views into actual people who like your art is another difficult layer. Now, I understand that a lot of this may come off as me, like, complaining to, like, people in general, like, oh man, it's so hard now, I have to post on Instagram. And I don't think the idea of posting is hard. I think it's wrong. I think there are better ways of doing it, or I think there are ways to make it more favorable to the artist. You know, art is something that everyone should have access to because art is communication. Not having art is like not giving someone the ability to communicate, which is inherently human. And I think that as these algorithms start taking over our lives even more, you know, right now they're at like let's say 90%, that last 10% is holding on. But you know, once our life is fully dictated by an algorithm, it's going to get harder and harder for people to see perspectives, to feel things, to feel like anything. How often has it been where you just sit there and you feel empty? You know what I mean? And it's like, it's just so frustrating knowing that it's because of this like formula. Well, actually, it's more like an equation. Same thing. But like, to have this thing hard coded into the apps that you use that determines what you're gonna see, what you're gonna like, how much you'll like it, if you're gonna scroll past it, how quickly you scroll past it. And all these small factors just like, they stack up against each other, right? One person using Instagram can determine another person's not even success, but just how they feel. Like, I'll bring up an example, like me getting a comment on my video, even if it's a hate comment, means so much more to me than seeing that it got 100 more views than usual. And the reason I say that is because that means that someone took time out of their day to actually communicate and interact with my work. That one comment I will remember more than being like, oh yeah, I posted that one reel that got 700 views instead of 6. No one's gonna remember that. That's just the truth. But yeah, I think I talked about a lot of heavy stuff. Hopefully this becomes like a continuing series. I like want to treat them as kind of like video journals, or I guess like vlogs by like the literal definition. And I think it would be really cool to just kind of talk about art and how it is so heavily involved in our lives that people seem to underestimate it. But yeah, if you are seeing this, hopefully it's uploaded before Friday night. If you are seeing this before Friday night, I do have a song coming out. Yeah. New Sounds. It's the name of the album. These 2 singles, they're 2. It's crazy. Hopefully they're cool. I think they're really cool. I'm still kind of sitting with the idea of like combining it into one song, because I'm making it as one big song, but I'm not sure if I want to split them down the middle. But yeah, self-insert aside, I'll see you guys later. Peace.